As the events of that fateful day unfolded, I couldn't help but question the nature of reality itself. The sun had long set, casting an eerie darkness over the excavation site in the heart of Afghanistan. Our team had stumbled upon a remarkable discovery, a massive skeleton buried deep within the earth. But what baffled us even more was the enigmatic message we found, a cryptic note concealed within a bottle. It spoke of giants, of ancient creatures that once roamed the land. The atmosphere was thick with anticipation and a hint of fear as we examined the colossal remains. The skeleton, measuring at least 30 feet in length, was unlike anything we had ever encountered. Its bones were weathered and worn, suggesting an age long forgotten. The skeleton's limbs were disproportionately large, and the sheer scale of the creature left us in awe and disbelief. As we stood there, marveling at this unearthly sight, our attention was drawn to a peculiar spear and an intricately crafted brace lying near the skeleton. They seemed out of place, as if intentionally left behind as a clue. Whose were they? How did they relate to the message we had found? We couldn't shake the feeling that there was something more to this discovery, something beyond our comprehension. Nightfall was approaching rapidly, and the decision was made to set up camp nearby to continue our exploration the following day. We pitched our tents, built a fire, and gathered around, discussing the implications of our findings. Excitement mixed with trepidation as we contemplated the existence of giants, mythical creatures that had long been relegated to the realms of folklore and legend. The conversation gradually dwindled as fatigue took hold. It was well past 11 p.m. when we retired for the night, but sleep eluded me. The questions kept swirling in my mind: were these giants real? Had we stumbled upon concrete evidence of their existence? The enormity of the discovery weighed heavily on my thoughts, and I eventually succumbed to a fitful slumber. Morning came, accompanied by frantic chatter and the sound of guns being loaded. Startled, I jolted out of bed, only to realize that the skeleton had vanished from its resting place. Panic set in as I noticed the absence of Troy, one of our team members. Speculation ran rampant among the group, and as I listened to their theories, I noticed a gathering of people ahead. Intrigued and concerned, I followed the crowd, hoping to find answers. As I approached the gathering, I was struck by a series of conspicuous drag marks and footprints that were at least 4 feet in length. They led to a valley of mounds, and we instinctively decided to follow their trail, believing that Troy had absconded with the giant's remains, perhaps with the intention of selling them. Entering Troy's tent, I discovered a disarrayed scene, as if he had hastily fled. Moreover, the bottle containing the cryptic message was missing. Fear and urgency propelled us forward as we followed the trails, climbing up a ramp-like slope towards the towering mounds that ranged from 100 to 500 meters in height. Eventually, we arrived at the mouth of a cave, shrouded in darkness and permeated by a putrid stench that made my stomach churn. The thought of venturing into the unknown, armed only with a torch, filled me with a profound sense of helplessness. With trembling hands, I ignited the torch, and the feeble light revealed a sight that sent shivers down my spine. There, a short distance ahead, stood the group, their expressions a mix of horror and astonishment. I hastened to catch up, accidentally dislodging a loose rock that ricocheted off the cave wall, echoing through the vast chamber. The noise seemed to awaken something sinister, as a low, guttural roar reverberated through the cave, reminiscent of the screech of metal. In that moment, time seemed to slow down as I watched in abject horror. The colossal creature, the embodiment of the giants we had imagined, emerged from the shadows, its immense form casting an oppressive shadow over us. The creature moved with a terrifying grace, its dark, hollow eyes fixated on us. It exuded an aura of sheer power and malevolence, dwarfing us in both size and strength. Its massive limbs moved effortlessly, reaching out with deadly intent. My heart pounded in my chest as I witnessed its first act of violence, a swift, merciless strike that crushed a nearby guard, reducing him to a grotesque pulp. Driven by a mix of fear and desperation, I instinctively darted between the creature's colossal feet, seeking refuge within its lair. My legs carried me further into the cavern, fueled by a primal instinct for self-preservation. As I ventured deeper, the flickering light of my torch revealed a small enclave, littered with dead grass, sticks, and debris. The presence of grass in this remote, desolate place perplexed me, but my attention was abruptly drawn to a gleaming object, my father's silver watch, unmistakable in its unique design. My heart sank as I comprehended the meaning behind its presence. This was where my father had met his end, succumbing to the same horrors that now threatened to consume me. Overwhelmed by grief, I collapsed to the ground, tears streaming down my face as the weight of loss and the unimaginable terror pressed upon me. In that cavern, time seemed to stand still. I wept, my cries echoing against the cold, stone walls, until the sound of gunshots pierced the air. Startled, I looked up, half expecting the giant to loom over me once more. Instead, what I saw was its lifeless body sprawled on the ground, eyes wide open, revealing those same dark, sunken voids that had haunted me just moments before. A strange mix of relief and dread washed over me. The details following that moment became hazy, obscured by the shroud of unconsciousness. I awoke in a sterile hospital room, surrounded by the sterile white walls and the hum of medical equipment. Doctors and nurses bustled about, their concerned faces indicating that something grave had occurred. They explained that I had suffered from severe stress and exhaustion, which had caused me to faint. As the nurse departed, leaving me alone with my thoughts, two figures clad in black suits entered the room. Their presence unnerved me, for I had heard stories of these enigmatic individuals, the men in black, rumored to be involved in clandestine operations beyond the scope of ordinary understanding. What you witnessed that day is something very few have ever seen, one of them began, his voice laced with a calculated seriousness. We have been in contact with your employer and have arranged a substantial sum of money for your silence. A contract will be provided soon. I found myself in a state of disbelief. My silence was being bought, and at an exorbitant price. The weight of the situation began to sink in as the men left the room. I had been paid an extraordinary sum of $300,000 to keep the horrors I had witnessed a secret, to bury the truth deep within me. Now, haunted by the memories of that day, I traversed the streets, a broken soul burdened by the weight of unspeakable truths. The stress and trauma had become unbearable, consuming my every waking moment. The black eyes of the giant continued to haunt me, their gaze penetrating the deepest recesses of my mind. As time moves forward, I wonder if the world will ever learn of the existence of giants. Will the truth remain hidden, confined to the fringes of human understanding? Or will it emerge, shattering the delicate illusions we have constructed? Only time will tell, but until then, I am left with the haunting memories of that day, forever etched in the depths of my soul.